Hey Al, here's my picnic table review of the Victorinox Skipper. This is one of their 111mm lock blade series. It's got Victorinox's side lock, which I like better than a back lock, and at least as well as a liner lock. Starting with the blade, it's partially serrated from probably about the 3/4 of it towards the tip, and then you have a plain edge part right toward the base there for push cutting, like, I don't know, carving or whittling or something like that. I didn't think I would like the serrated blade as much as I do, but it's actually was really good for using on food. You don't have to worry about dulling it from cutting against a plate, and boy, it gets through anything pretty easily when you use those serrations. The only problem with it is that it's just sharpened on one side. Some people call it a chisel grind. You can see there's no grinding here. But if you go to the other side, you can see all the sharpening is done on that side. For the serrated part, that's not such a big deal because you normally would slice with it, right? But for the plain edge part, it makes it a little more difficult to do precision push cutting. For whittling, it's good for right-handers. For left-handers, it's going to be just about unusable for whittling with that plain edge part. And again, I like this Victorinox locking scheme. You just change your grip just a little bit from holding it, push that down, and then the blade comes right in without having your fingers in front or without having to drastically change your grip on the knife to get to a back lock. One thing the Skipper has that the helmsman doesn't is a Pliers and the inline number 2 Phillips. And that inline Phillips, I probably will use that more than the Pliers. It's just useful. You can reach into recesses and get to screws that you couldn't get to if you had the T Phillips like the helmsman has. The Pliers is one of those tools where a lot of people have never had it before on a Swiss Army knife, and it's kind of a thick tool. It adds a thick layer, but it's one of those things that once you have it and you get used to having it, you just find lots of uses for it. It's got a little thin wire cutter here. That would have to be pretty small wire. And the crimper back here too, it would have to be pretty small crimp-on terminal. But the pliers are useful just as kind of a, something a lot heavier duty than a tweezers, and something lighter duty than full-size pliers. But handy to have. Think of it as like a really strong set of fingertips that can get into small spaces. And then the thing that makes it part of the C series with the blue handle is the Marlin Spike. This is intended for untying knots in rope. You can sneak that thin tip into a knot and kind of pry it open and jam it in there a little further, and it just kind of pulls it open a little better for you. And then you can also use this, I forgot the term for this, but you can use this for a wrench on like wing nuts or very small hex screws, and some sailing hardware too. And then of course you could use it just as a light duty pry bar, very light duty if you needed to. And then the usual bottle opener, large screwdriver, can opener, small screwdriver. And then on the back we've got the corkscrew. Again, the helmsman has a number 2 T-style Phillips here, but since we have an inline Phillips on the main side, you can have a corkscrew with a micro screwdriver there. It doesn't come with the micro screwdriver, but you can get that aftermarket. And then the usual reamer with sewing eye. It's kind of just a general use pointy tool for when you don't want to ruin your knife blade. A lot of people use it to bore extra holes in their belt and things like that. And then the tweezers and toothpick. I use the toothpick all the time. But I find that at 4 layers, this is a good size. It fits the hand well. It feels good in the hand, but it's not so thick that it gets heavy. You could pocket carry it, but it'll be best hanging from a longer lanyard from your belt so that it hangs vertically in your pocket. Belt pouch is even better. There you have it, Victorinox Skipper. Highly recommend it. It has quickly become one of my favorites, right up there with the much thicker Work Champ. Thanks for watching.